Welcome to Module 1 of Auditory Verbal Practice, Access to Listening and Spoken Language for Cochlear Implant Recipients. I am so excited to have this opportunity for us to come together to learn and grow with one another so that we can raise the bar for cochlear implant recipients. And this course is a collaborative effort between the Institute for Cochlear Implant Training, or ICIT, and Hearing First. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about how this course came about. Dr. Tom Balcony founded ICIT. It was actually his brainchild because he realized that through his work as a surgeon and as a neuro-otologist early on in cochlear implantation, that we really needed qualified professionals ready to serve the many patients who would benefit from cochlear implants. And he recognized that we really kind of had a crisis of capacity as well in terms of the number of professionals who were well prepared. And so much of what we know about cochlear implantation today is because of Dr. Balcony's work and his influence on the practice that we follow. So the first course that he established was the course for surgeons, and they follow basically the same format that we're following here in our course, where there's pre-learning and then they come together for once a week for a live interactive session, and then their course culminates in them meeting at the temporal bone lab and practicing their skill set under Dr. Balcony's direction. So then, after he added the surgeon course, the next one that he said, we need a team to do this. And then at that point, the audiology course was added. And Dr. Terry Zwolin from the University of Michigan is the Advanced Audiology Cochlear course director. And she is an amazing person in and of herself. And she too has made significant contributions through her work in terms of influencing what we know today and how we practice. And then I'd like to also introduce you to Dr. Heather Strader. You're going to get to meet her every week because she is the executive director of ICIT, but she's also the producer of our learning experiences and makes all the magic happen behind the scenes so that we can learn and connect and have this opportunity to connect with each other across the miles. And so how this came about is that as I mentioned, Dr. Balcony has a core belief that this really takes a team of individuals, and it takes a team of surgeons, of audiologists, and then also of AV practitioners. And that when we work together with families, that we can really raise the bar for cochlear implant recipients. So I was very humbled when Drs. Balcony and Zwolin and Strader approached me about adding the auditory verbal practice course to ICIT. And through those conversations, it was obvious it became a very natural fit for a collaborative effort between ICIT and Hearing First. And then I'm also super excited and grateful that Ellen Thomas has joined the ICIT as the assistant course director of the AV course, and lending her skill set in terms of extreme wonderful coordination, but also the depth of experience that she has as a senior speech-language pathologist on the cochlear implant team at the University of Michigan. So throughout this course, you'll be meeting and interacting with her as well as she joins us each week online, along with the facilitators. And I'm thrilled with the facilitators that have gathered together that will be functioning as instructors in the course. They too are practicing in cochlear implantation. And so they bring with them a huge depth and breadth of knowledge to facilitate our learning together. But as we get started, I think it's really important that we always start out with a child. And I'd like to introduce you to Jacob. And Jacob was born profoundly deaf, and he was diagnosed through newborn hearing screening, and he received his first set of hearing aids at 6 weeks of age. His parents from the very beginning knew that they wanted him to learn to listen and talk, and so he wore his hearing aids during all waking hours. And then they immediately began auditory verbal therapy so that they could learn the strategies and techniques as they were in terms of, and began to learn more about Jacob's auditory skill development. And so Jacob was implanted at age 13 months and activated at age 13 months. He received a second implant about 5 to 6 months later. And in this clip, I'd like you to meet Jacob at age 3 years, 11 months of age. And so he's been listening with his first cochlear implant about 2 years, and with his second implant about a year. So, but what I want you to listen for is, I want you to listen and observe Jacob's speech. I want his language skills. I want you to listen to his vocal quality. I want you to think about his chronological age of being 3 years, 11 months, and what do you think, how is he measuring up to his hearing peers? And think about the skill set and the skill that he's doing here and what he's demonstrating in terms of his speech and language development. So let's watch together, and then we'll talk about it after it finishes playing.
A says A, B says A, sound the A says A. The B says B, the B says B, A makes the sound the B says B. The C says K, the C says K, A makes the sound the C says K. The D says D, the D says D, A makes the sound the D says D. The E says A, the E says A, make a sound, the E says A. The F says F, the F says F, make a sound, the F says F. A, B, C, D, F, G. The G says G, the G says G, make a sound, the G says G.
All right, so I just had to go to G to get the fist pump in. And you can thank me because that song will be an earworm for you all day long and be stuck in your head. But let's talk about this. When you listen to Jacob, his vocal quality sounds pretty typical for a child that's 3 years, 11 months, doesn't it? He has nice prosody, he has nice inflection, he has nice rhythm with the song. You can hear and understand the song that he's singing. His articulation, it sounds pretty good, and for like a typical 3 year, 11-month-old child. And let's talk about what he's doing and how he learned this song. If you have a child or a grandchild, you know exactly how he learned this song. His parents didn't teach him. In fact, he learned the song from a toy, and it's the toy that was hanging on his refrigerator. And it's the one where you put the letters into the toy, and then it makes the sound, and it sings the song. So Jacob was able to learn through incidental learning, through that toy, because he had access to all the sounds of speech through his ears with his cochlear implants. And that's how kids learn, isn't it? They learn through incidental learning around them. And that's what's amazing about the opportunities for cochlear implant recipients, is they no longer have to be taught everything, but they can take full advantage of the rich language environment that surrounds them so that they too can benefit from incidental learning through their peers, through toys, through finger plays, through songs, just as typical hearing children do. And then let's talk about the song that he's actually singing. Well, he's singing and he's learning that sounds have names. They're called letters, and they have names, and they make sounds, and those sounds go together to make words, and words go together to make sentences. And as you know, this is a huge step in pre-emergent literacy and in terms of literacy using language to talk about language. And so Jacob is well on his way as he enters pre-K to be prepared to listen, to engage in a typical hearing classroom with his hearing friends. So, is Jacob a star? Well, he's a pretty cool kid, but he's not really a star, because this is where the bar needs to be for children who are profoundly deaf or hard of hearing, and for all children, no matter what degree of hearing loss they have. And that's the opportunity that we have today with this amazing technology. We can bypass the broken parts of the ear and go directly to the brain, and children and recipients, they can learn to listen and talk just as hearing children do, and take advantage of that brain that's pre-wired to learn spoken language through listening. So that's where the bar is going to be. That's what this course is going to do. We're going to explore and discuss all the types of things that need to go into the care of a child and of an adult so that we can maximize those outcomes for recipients. And when we do that, the sky is truly the limit. So we'll be talking about what are the strategies and techniques we should be implementing, how we need to be monitoring the auditory function or the functional auditory skill development of a child or of a recipient, what information we need to be sharing with the cochlear implant team, what's valuable to them, how do we need to build capacity in families, and so that we can maximize cochlear implant outcomes. So I mentioned Hearing First, just a little bit about us. We are an educational endeavor of the Oberkotter Foundation, and our purpose is to support families and professionals on the listening and spoken language journey. And we do that through awareness, raising awareness of the importance of newborn hearing screening, for families to act urgently following up on newborn hearing screening, that they need to know the status of their baby's hearing first, because all child development hinges upon that. So we want parents to act urgently and quickly. We want children to have early diagnosis so we can take advantage of newborn hearing screening and to grow that brain for listening and spoken language. In addition to awareness, we also provide education, where we provide learning experiences for parents as well as professionals, and we have a wide variety of those experiences that we provide at no cost to anyone, and along with the ability for professionals to receive continuing education credit. So I'd encourage you to go check out all the different courses you can take at Hearing First. And then we also have two communities. One is a family-to-family support community, and this is where families are gathering to share their journeys and to inspire and encourage one another. It's a place where they can exchange information and they can keep up to date with the latest listening and spoken language information. It's a terrific way to enhance your practice by referring your families to join the family-to-family support community, and it will make your job easier, I promise. The other community that we have is a professional learning community, and we currently have over 5,000 professionals in that community who are learning and growing together so that they can better support children and outcomes for families. So come check it out. I encourage you to come over to hearingfirst.org and join the community, refer your families to the community, and you might particularly be interested in checking out our LSL Fundamental Learning Series that we have going on. And I hope to see you over there and online as well as in this course. So join us at Hearing First. We offer a huge amount of online resources and tools to make your job easier to support cochlear implant recipients. Join the professional learning community. Invite your families to join the family support community. And come take some of our learning experiences to keep the learning going. So this is a course on auditory verbal practice. And as you know, that our purpose is always to support families and to walk along beside them so that we're building capacity in families so that outcomes can be achieved and maximized. But one of the things I think we have to remember is, as wonderful and as amazing as what we each think we are people that families never wanted to meet. In their wildest dreams, they never dreamed, thought, or imagined that they would have to have us in their lives. Because 94% of babies that are born deaf are born to two hearing parents. So it comes to them out of the blue. They never, their wildest dreams thought they would have a baby that was deaf or hard of hearing. And so our role is to come along beside them, to walk along beside them and support them. And we have to remember, we chose this as a profession, but parents did not. And so part of what our goal is, we want to support families so that they get back on that royal road of life, and and all the hopes and dreams that they have for their child, we are best positioning that child and that family, that recipient, cochlear implant recipient, for the best possible outcomes. Now, families need complete and accurate information. And that's one of our responsibilities as professionals, is that we make sure that they have accurate information, up-to-date information on what we know in 2020 to be the best information possible for children and families. And then families always have, it's a family decision in terms of what outcome they want for their child, what they feel like is best for their family. And then we as professionals support them in that decision and best position them and their child to receive that outcome. We know that most families are two hearing families, and so most families, the greatest majority of them, want their child to speak the language of the home and to participate in the language of the home. And so for the majority of families, that is listening and spoken language of whatever spoken language happens to be in the home. So that's what's terrific about today's recipients and about cochlear implants and the opportunities, is that cochlear implants are really on a continuum of hearing technology, and that we have this amazing opportunity today to provide access to all the sounds of speech through the ears. So when we talk about auditory verbal practice, it's interesting because many years ago, when I had the great fortune of cochlear implants coming of age in children. And while I had a long history of working with children and families who are, in this hearing loss space, I happened to cross paths with Warren Estabrooks as he was doing a workshop. And when he showed tapes of his children listening and talking like normal hearing kids, I was amazed, because up to that point, I had never seen or heard a profoundly deaf child having listening as a strength, sounding like a typical hearing child, and also being exceptional conversationalists. So through that process, I became a certified auditory verbal therapist and really am a staunch believer in auditory verbal practice. And that is that we are aggressive with audiological management, that we want to make sure that a child has access to all the sounds of speech through their ears. That means early fitting of hearing, early diagnosis, early fitting of appropriate hearing technology, aggressive audiological management, and then utilizing very specific strategies and techniques to teach spoken language through listening. And that when we do that, children listen to their sounds of their own voices, the voices of others. They take advantage of that rich spoken language environment around them and all the sounds of life. And when we do that one of the important things is that we want children to be on a trajectory to be toward achieving age-appropriate literacy skills by third grade, right along with their hearing friends. And that's a critical hallmark, isn't it? Because for children, to achieve third grade level reading by third grade, it means that now we have a child that's going to do better academically, reach their full potential, and this hearing block is the foundation for personal and professional flexibility in terms of as they grow and get older. So unfortunately, many cochlear implant centers, they lack access to AVT or LSL services in their implanted patients. And in 2018, we completed a survey as we were thinking about this course and saying, is there a need for this course to provide greater training? And we found that there is a majority of cochlear implant teams and cochlear implant surgeons that feel they do not have access to, for their recipients to access auditory verbal practice following implantation. So that's why the course has been developed. There are 11 modules. We'll be following that formula of a week of pre-learning and discussion, And then we'll come together for a live interactive learning together online. And we've put together the 11 modules that we feel like are essential topics in cochlear implantation, rehabilitation, habilitation. Now, each one of these topics, we could have 16 plus weeks discussion in each of them. So we're really hitting the highlights in terms of going the breadth, and then the depth. If you'd like to continue that, I would encourage you to enroll in some of the classes over at Hearing First. But we're going to go as deep as we possibly can during this time. So roll up your sleeves and buckle your seatbelts. One of the things that I'm excited about is that in Module 10 and 11, we will be applying knowledge that we've been talking about and discussing to observation. And you will have opportunity to observe and have guided observation of an entire cochlear implant intervention course, or AV therapy course, from beginning to end. And so that you'll be discussing and dialoguing and synthesizing what all is going on in that course with a certified auditory verbal practitioner who's very skilled in cochlear implant and experienced in cochlear implantation. So it's going to be a terrific 11 weeks of study. Looking forward to it with these modules, and I'm so appreciative of the faculty that are coming together to deliver these modules and to facilitate our learning and growing together.